day's sun rises over the South Pacific Ocean. A new era dawns on a dynamic new Pacific powerhouse. The sun and surf that have long made the state of Queensland Australia's iconic tourism mecca are now a vibrant background to a diverse economy that feeds and fuels the world, and as one of 8 states contributing $254 billion, 20% of Australia's GDP. The farms of Queensland export over 50% of Australia's beef and 30% of Australia's cotton. And Queensland is now the world's largest seaborne coking coal exporter, supplying $37 billion of fuel, most of it going to China and India, the drivers of the global economy. The state of Queensland is surging forward on a mineral boom which has raised interstate and overseas migration levels to record highs, to the point where the Office of Economic and Statistical Research calculates that Queensland's population currently grows by 112,900 people per year. That's over 2,000 people per week, 52 weeks of the year. The major focus of this growth is Queensland's capital city, Brisbane, where phenomenal population growth coupled with chronic housing undersupply is fueling another boom in property investment.
G'day, I'm Campbell Newman, the Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Australia's new world city. Brisbane is an exciting, vibrant, multicultural city where 23% of our residents were born overseas. It's been Australia's fastest growing capital city for more than a decade.
Professional property forecasters predict that Queensland will have a market demand for 43,000 new dwellings each year for the next 5 years, and Brisbane's undersupply is the worst in Queensland. With a shortfall of 6,474 in 2009 alone, it is forecast it will need an additional 145,000 dwellings by 2026. To meet these growth demands, the Queensland State Government has allocated a massive $30 billion to planned infrastructure, with $21 billion dedicated to the inner Brisbane area for projects such as the Airport Link, the Eastern Busway upgrades, and the development of Australia's Trade Coast. Australia's Trade Coast, 8,000 hectares of thriving industries centred between the deep water of the Port of Brisbane and Brisbane airports, already has 7,500 businesses and employs over 43,000 people, which will grow to 106,000 by 2026. The low availability of housing has driven rents up with a 7.5% increase per year for apartments in the inner city over the past 5 years. Returns on investments are forecast by all sources to be strong, with an historic average annual price gain of 7.6% over the past 5 years. Just a few kilometres from the Trade Coast, strategically placed between its coastal location and the traditional business centre of Brisbane, the city's far-sighted planners are preparing the answer. Bowen Hills, high above the river and at a crucial axis of the city's new and growing road and rail networks, is a transport-oriented development precinct with unique status granted by the State Parliament, which provides unprecedented power for planning and approvals to the specially created Urban Land Development Authority.
The Urban Land Development Authority is a state government body set up to streamline the planning and approval systems in Queensland. The Bowen Hills urban development area will become the northern gateway to the Brisbane CBD, and Metro Properties is developing in an area, and it's considered one of the most strategic urban renewal sites in Australia.
Bowen Hills is already fast taking shape on the drawing boards of planners and architects such as Peter Richards, who is currently overseeing the development of plans linked to a network of new roads, tunnels, railways and other transport infrastructure over the next 2 decades, which are the arteries of Brisbane's booming future. All this infrastructure comes together just 2.5 kilometres from Brisbane CBD, where commuters will soon emerge from the transit network to a huge new skyline of what is effectively a new city within a city.
This is the new Bowen Hills, where 10,000 people will live, work and play. This is urban living at its best, with the street feel of a village.
Centred on one of only 4 suburban network railway stations which funnel all trains travelling north, south, east and west around the rest of the city and its wider southeast Queensland localities, Bowen Hills is set to be Brisbane's masterpiece of new urban planning. And key to transformation will be outstanding examples of the art of residential development from one of the city's most respected and influential property identities.
David Devine has been at the forefront of Brisbane's residential growth for many years. He's built about 60% of Brisbane's high-rise apartment buildings, and he's maintained a strong commitment to the community through his charity donations. I'm delighted to offer my full support to his new company, Metro Property Development Proprietary Limited, and I'm confident this new venture will ensure his outstanding success continues well into the future.
Now, through his new enterprise of Metro Property Development, he is in the prime position to lead the way again with Madison Heights, Bowen Hills. Perfectly located to take advantage of the transport hub of Bowen Hills railway station, it's adjacent to Queensland's largest hospital with a workforce of approximately 8,000 and neighbour to the $2.9 billion Royal National Association Showgrounds redevelopment, soon to commence, and to employ 2,000 workers per year for the next 15 years. Madison Heights is just 60 metres from this $2.9 billion redevelopment, which will see a whole new precinct of restaurants, bars, cafes and shopping along the streets of the immediate neighbourhood. Within a short stroll of Madison Heights, residents will have their choice of 88 restaurants, 32 bars, 22 galleries, 63 boutiques and 102 cafes. Above it all, Madison Heights residents will enjoy 30 levels of world-class living and such luxuries as a sky terrace with fabulous views, pool, gymnasium, barbecue and 2 other recreational areas. The 286 1- and 2-bedroom apartments provide affordable luxury and are all finished to exacting standards, complete with high-quality kitchens and bathrooms. Most apartments open wide to a terrace or balcony, which is an extension of the living space in every respect. All of this, just 2.5 kilometres from Brisbane CBD, represents true value that ticks all the boxes for future investors. Now consider this. Today, less than 3 kilometres north across Sydney Harbour, North Sydney is one of the tallest, most densely built and populated capital city CBDs in Australia, in many ways second only to Old Sydney itself. Imagine what your investment would be worth today if you'd invested 30 years ago in the beginning of North Sydney. With Bowen Hills poised to repeat that story just 2.5 kilometres north of Brisbane, don't let this opportunity pass you by.